Hey there, reflection. Welcome back to another diary entry here on Nature's Journal. I'm your diarist, Jeneska, and this is Nature's Journal. I'm so excited to have you here today. If you are returning, welcome back, and if you're new here, I welcome you into this lovely space. So, what's in today's entry? What are we going to talk about? Hmm. I need to sit down for this one. So, growing up, I've always known that I'm a person that loves my own space. You know, I had challenges when it came to, for me, making friends growing up was a bit of a challenge um, because I used to live in my head a lot and I still do. And I kind of love my own space, like my own company. It fulfills me. But there are times where I'm in need of social interaction, social interactions or interacting with human beings, and because we are social beings. So I remember way back when I was in grade 8, the first day I made it to high school, my twin brother had friends, like a lot of friends, and the friends that I had in primary went to a different school. So I was friendless, and I remember coming back home tired and frustrated at the fact that I don't have friends, and tomorrow I'll probably have to repeat the same process of just being around people and looking all weird and feeling all weird around people who have friends and interacting and engaging with other people. Fast forward, I've obviously made friends. How? Hmm, how did I make friends? How did we become friends, me and those girls? I can't recall. I don't even want to think about it. Not because it's not precious enough, but it really doesn't matter like that. And even in varsity, I did not make friends instantly. I had to wait for probably like a week, 2 or 3 weeks till I became friends with those two girls. Um, and so making friends for me isn't like a it's not an easy process, but I've learned to push myself. I've learned to put myself in situations where I can grow. Given this year alone, I've managed to approach a couple of people and it has been successful. Um, and so the reason why I'm speaking about this is because of the conversation I had with this other Uber driver. So I was in this ride and he was an elderly man, and he asked me about my whereabouts and he asked me about who I am, like just general stuff, trying to get to know me, just like have an honest conversation, like a humane conversation. And so I told him about myself, and I don't know how we ended up speaking about relationships, but then I told him that typical, been in a relationship before. And he was like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. And he began to tell me how unique I am, da da da. And I really did appreciate his words. Um, but then he then asked me, why is it you've never been in a relationship before? And I gave him the honest answer. People hardly ever approach me. So that's one of the reason why. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. um and so that got me questioning, why is that? Because I also need to, like, as much as it's happening to me, I'm the one that's allowing it to happen. So I must also be invoking some sort of emotions, or um I must be playing a part in all of this as well. You know what I mean? What makes it difficult for people to approach me? Is it because I've got a resting bee face, or is it because I'm just unapproachable? What makes me unapproachable? And I had to think about that for myself, because as much as I would love to play the victim and be like, yeah, well, people don't approach me and it's just because I'm intimidating. You know what I mean? I'm also putting out that energy of intimidation, even though I don't mean it. And I don't think it's necessary, it's me putting out the energy of, oh, I want you to be intimidated by me, but it's because I too am somehow afraid of having to initiate a conversation with people. I've done it, yeah, and I've seen it. It's not that difficult. Obviously, the initial phase or the initial couple of minutes are a bit awkward for me because it's like, okay, now I've managed to say hi to this person. What do I say next? Um, so it's about that. And I remember also, I guess another thing that's holding me back is like I converse with anyone, whether you're female, you're male, I don't care. You're human, and if I feel drawn to you, I'll come up to you. So I remember at this time I was at this store and I spoke to the sales consultant, which he was just helping me out, right? And I just loved how jolly he was, And so I wanted to be friends with that person. I was like, hey, may I please have your number? Because I feel like you're a good person. We've got a lot, well, not a lot in common, but I'd love to get to know you as a person. I love your energy. He's like, cool. And then I went to the till, and some of the ladies in the store, the cashiers and the consultants, were speaking in Vernac and saying, "Oh, it doesn't suit her." What they said actually, like in exact words, the exact words were, "As I'm funny, and so for me, it was like, so wait, I'm not supposed to make friends? Is that what you're saying? Just because I'm a female, he's a male, does not mean that I'm like asking the guy out. And even if I was, it's not really a problem, is it? And so, as much as I want to live in my authenticity, I feel like sometimes it's very hard to kind of bounce people's projections on me, because I understand that that's their projections, that's them judging me based on their belief system, that it's inappropriate for a woman to, I don't know, befriend a guy or ask for a guy's number. So that in itself is just like, okay, now I need to learn to deal with not that person's rejection, but societal rejection, if it makes sense. Because it's kind of weird. I was expecting the person that I asked the numbers from to reject me, but instead I got rejected by the people in the room. And maybe because they themselves couldn't see themselves do that, yeah. So I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons why I tend to hold myself back when it comes to just forming friendships with people, or just connections in simple terms. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm literally just gonna challenge myself in this month of October to form connections as much as possible. Like whenever I'm out, I'm going to greet people, even if we don't have, a lifelong lasting connection. That little connection that we have would mean a lot to me, and I think it's more of a muscle that I need to build. And because even me myself, when I say, okay, I'm going to go outside today and just spend time around other people's presence, I find myself being drawn back to what I know, which is my own presence. And so even when I strike up a conversation with someone, I end up saying two words. And I remember this other person came to fix something here at home, and they asked me, what am I watching? I was just like, I'm watching YouTube. And at the back of my mind, when I went back to sit down to resume the show, I was like, at the back of my mind, girl, you could have said, yeah, I'm watching this very interesting show on YouTube. It's about this, that. You can't just end it off by saying, well, yeah, I'm just watching YouTube. That's all. It seems like I'm uninterested. I don't want to conversate. I mean, there are days and times where I don't want to do that, but I need to force myself. I need to allow myself to grow into the space of forming connections and living with other people. And I think it's important for me to note that as much as I'm allowing myself to foster connections with people, I'm not neglecting myself. It doesn't mean that when I form connections with other people, I'm discrediting or disassociating or forming a disconnection with myself, but rather I'm even learning myself. I'm even learning more about myself through other people. So yeah, the month of October is going to be an interesting month for me. In that regard, it's really going to be an interesting month for me. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it because it's easy, it's easy things. So if you're also feeling like you want to take up that challenge where you're just giving yourself, gifting yourself humanly gifts, and if you are also in that headspace where you just feel like, hey, I desire some change in my life and I need to change something about myself, you can also hop on this and we can do it together. I don't know how, but we could definitely do it together, and you could share your experiences. Or if you've been in this headspace where you wanted to form connections with people and you pushed yourself to the limits, tell me about your experiences. How has that played out in your life, and how has that impacted your livelihood at large? Thank you for listening, and you will hear from me in the next entry. Bye.